Have you ever wondered why you can't land a project manager job this year, even though you have all these certifications? You're feeling stuck and you still can't land an interview, even though you're PMP certified. Trust me, I know exactly how you feel. So today, I'm going to share with you the 3 most brutally honest lessons that I finally realized, which helped me land my first project manager job. If we're just meeting for the very first time, my name's Alvin. I'm an engineering project manager and career coach here to help you land your next job in project management. So the very first lesson is that being qualified, it's not enough. You must learn to position yourself. You see, the job market is completely, radically different. The rules are changing fast, rapidly, and it's very ruthless out there if you don't have the right mindset and you don't use the right tactics and strategies to get to where you want to go. Let me give you one real example. Now, you might be resonating with this, so this could be you. You could be PMP certified, PMI ACP certified, Scrum Master and Agile certified, and you might even have more than 10 plus years of experience. Does this sound like you, by the way? Because this definitely is me on a piece of paper, right? So you apply to all these jobs online, but you know what happens? The hiring manager gets back to you and they say, meh, meh, you're just not the right fit. You see, the approach of just applying to jobs online and crossing your fingers and hoping and praying to the gods up above us that you'll land an interview won't work in today's competitive job market. You see, things are changing. Maybe this used to work 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, but with hundreds of people, maybe even thousands of people applying to the same job that you're applying to, you have to do things differently. How do you expect to stand out when the job market is changing, and with that change, hundreds, if not thousands of people every single month are becoming PMP certified? How are you standing out in this competitive job market? As a real example here, you see this screen here with this image? This is an image of a blue ocean with a lot of small fish. But you see, you are the small blue fish here that doesn't seem to stand out or be distinguished from all of the other fish in this very large ocean. You're a very tiny fish in an ocean with thousands of other fish in the same ocean as you. The big question is, how are you going to stand out in this job search, right? It can feel like you're putting on this pair of binoculars, like I'm showing here, trying to find and hone in on that one job that will say yes to you. Do you ever feel that way? I know I felt that way when I've applied to hundreds of jobs hoping to hear back. But in the end, all I hear is crickets. The answer here lies with one statement. Relevance beats your qualifications. Let me repeat that one more time. Your relevance beats your qualifications. It doesn't matter how many certifications you have. You could have 20 certifications. And if you do have more than 20 certifications, I applaud you, because this is hard. It's very difficult to stand out with having all these certifications, but if the job posting doesn't actually want you to have those certifications, is it a complete waste of your time? You see, the hiring manager, they're not looking for someone who has 10 plus certifications. They're looking for someone who is specific and tailored to the job that they're hiring for. How do you do that? You have to do one thing, which is translate your experience into the language of the job posting for the role that you're applying to. All right? Translate your experience, your unique value proposition that you have to offer, into the language that the job posting and the hiring manager want to see. You have to speak the lingo of what the hiring manager wants to see. Speak what they want to hear, right? How do you do that? Well, it's quite easy if you just look at it from a big picture. Your resume should not read like a biography. It should be like a sales pitch. You don't want to spend writing your resume and having it be 2 pages long. Hopefully it's not 5 pages long, because you definitely don't want to do that, but you want it to be a sales pitch who showcases you in the best light possible. How do you do that? Well, let me share with you my personal story. I remember when I was applying for project manager jobs, I was still working as a senior engineer, and I was facing a very tough problem here. I didn't know how to sell my current experience as an engineer to stand out for real project manager jobs. How do I show that even though I was an engineer before, that I would be best positioned for a project manager job? How do I show that I actually have project management skills, right? It feels like this conundrum where to get a project manager job, you need to have project management skills, but to get the experience, you actually need to have a project management job. The core answer is you need to tap into yourself and your history and figure out what previous skills and experiences have you demonstrated accomplishments where you used project management skills. The chances are very high that you've already showed how you have led teams or managed projects, but you didn't have a project manager job title. So translate your experiences into project management words. And I also tailored my resume to speak the language that the hiring manager wants to read about. That was the minute that I started getting interviews and emails back saying that the company was interested in me. And when that happened, it felt like all these gates were opening up to me, and I was finally getting all these opportunities for me. You see, so the key here is you have to learn how to write your resume so it's a sales pitch that positions who you are with your unique value proposition by selling your accomplishments, right? Your accomplishments with project management lingo. And that's how you do that. If you need my help to write your project manager resume, you can download my free resume template, which is the exact resume template that I used to land multiple project manager jobs. It's completely free because I want you to succeed. So go ahead and download my free resume template at alvinthepm.com/resume template. All right, now the second lesson is a very, very important one. Applying cold online won't get you very far. Why? It's because in today's job market, you're literally behind other candidates who already have referrals and hundreds of other connections inside the company. All right, you have to figure out a way to not apply only cold online. There are dozens of other people who have already started meeting up, getting coffees with other team members or managers who already work at the company that you're applying to. So if you haven't even talked to anyone who can give you a referral, you're already behind one step of someone who has already done that. Let me give you a real example here. Okay, this is a very important concept that I call ice cold versus flaming hot when you're applying to a job. On one end of the spectrum, you're ice cold. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you're flaming hot. And when I say flaming hot, I'm not talking about flaming hot Cheetos, okay? Even though they're one of my favorite all-time childhood snacks I loved eating growing up. They're spicy and I just devoured them when I was a kid. But seriously, you have to see yourself on this spectrum. So what I've done is I'm pulling on my iPad here because this is an important concept that I want to illustrate to you. Let's say on the left-hand side of this screen, you are ice cold. All you do is you apply directly online to the job ad. So I'll write in here, job posting, okay? That's all you do. And you're crossing your fingers and you're hoping and praying that you're going to hopefully get a response from the hiring manager or the recruiter to get that first interview, right? So that's scenario one. But let's say that you're a different person and we're going to use a red color to simulate flaming hot. This person, on the other hand, he doesn't just apply online. The very first step that he does is he reaches out to one person. He reaches out to a second person, and then he reaches out to a third person. And then let's say he does a fourth person. And he asks them one simple question. Hey, do you happen to know if there are any project managers who work in your company? He asked them these questions, and let's say that 3 of the 4 people say, yeah, we actually do have project managers who work in our company. And he asked them another follow-up question. Hey, would you be open to connecting me with someone who already works as a project manager in your company? I'd be really interested and would love to know more about what it's like to work as a project manager in your company. The chances are very high that that person is more than willing to speak out to the other person and connect them with you. So let's say they connect you with this other person, and we'll color this person with an orange color. Okay, so by this point, you've already opened up the floodgates to potentially 3 other people who can connect with you. And out of these 3 people, let's say only 2 people actually reach back out to you. So I'll draw this with a dark blue color. So this first person, let's say he reaches out back to you, right? And same thing with this second person. So you have 2 people reaching out back to you because they wanted to have a conversation to you, right? So you have person number 2 and person number 1. And you end up having a 30-minute coffee with them, which is actually pretty good. So you're able to have a sit-down coffee with 2 people who are already working as project managers inside this company. And you ask them, you're starting to dig deeper into what it's like to work in their project management capacity and what working in that company is actually like. But get this, you ask them, hey, do you guys have any openings for a project management role? I actually am trying to break into project management. I've had this experience leading engineering projects, and if there is, I would love to apply. Let's say they actually tell you that, yeah, there actually is an opening. You tell them, would you be open to being a referral for me? I really do think that I am very qualified for this position, and I want to do my very best to present myself so I can take it to the next level and hopefully be on the radar to the hiring manager. So on my screen here, let's switch to a green color. And let's say that both of these people serve as an internal referral. So I put a green check mark. So now you have 2 internal referrals to 2 companies for potential project management job openings, right? And get this, let's say that one of these openings actually leads you somewhere. So let's say that this actually ends up being a great job that you're actually qualified for. So you connect to that person, you find out that you're qualified for the job, so you apply online. And not just that, you actually have a referral. So this is the 2-step approach here. You got the referral and the online connection, right? Because you've applied online. This is how you can bypass everybody else in the job market if you can tap into your internal network. You never know who could be 1 step or 2 steps away from you to help you navigate the companies that you want to apply for. So I want you to ask yourself this question, all right? Inside the spectrum that I'm showing on this slide here, where are you? Are you ice cold, or are you just flaming hot? Are you ice cold because you just applied directly online? Are you scenario number 1 here? Or are you scenario number 2, where you're actually trying to do your very best to not negotiate, but to build connections with your internal network, trying to talk to other people, seeing if they can connect you with someone who already works in that company? Which scenario are you? Are you ice cold, or are you flaming hot? And I hope that just by listening to this video, you're going to start to build the confidence to become the person who is flaming hot. All right. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, will you do me a favor? Please smash that like button and show me your support. And also, just as a secret handshake for you and me, drop me the words for let's go so that I know that you appreciate and that you're enjoying this kind of content. Now, our next lesson is that interviews are not about talking and bragging about your past. This is a humble take that took me years to recognize. You see, I used to think that the minute that you landed an interview, all you had to do was just talk about everything you accomplished. Hi, my name is Alvin, and I was able to drive revenue up by 50%, and we were able to improve processes by 25%, and the cycle times reduced from 1 minute to now 30 seconds, and our teams were really satisfied, and we also drove customer satisfaction even more. Who wants to hear that, right? Here's the truth. Acing the interview is about being an amazing storyteller, all right? That's the biggest unlock that I want you to take away from today's video. You have to be a storyteller during your interview. You see, when you're finally in the interviewing rounds, you've went down from 100 people all the way down to possibly 5 or so people, right? Maybe even a little less, because they're not going to be interviewing 30 people, right? They're probably talking to maybe 10 people. So your odds of success are much higher. So when you're in your interview, you're not there to recount all of your biggest accomplishments. While yes, you are supposed to tell them about what you've accomplished, the real value is in how you engage them, convey your emotions, and show them how you're the best fit for your role because of your experiences. So let me show you. I want you to think back to when you used to have campfires with your friends. Maybe you were in high school, maybe you were in the Boy Scouts, or maybe you did a lot of campfires when you were in college. What was the one thing that you remember back in those days? It was really fun, right? Because people told stories. It was really engaging, and people lit up when everyone used to tell stories. We told stories with each other, and we framed it in a way where you talked about things that were very curious. You wanted to know more. It was very intriguing and exciting. Things that made you think, whoa, that happened? Tell me more about that. That's the kind of emotions that you want the hiring manager to feel during the interview. And how do you do that? Well, when you're answering a question that the hiring manager tells you, you want to frame each of your answers in a way where you start by not directly already answering the question, but you frame it with the context first, and then you build up the anticipation before you reveal how you resolve the problem. So first, you start off with the context, then you build up your anticipation, and then you finally end with your resolution. Let me show you graphically what this means, okay? So first, you set the context, right? For an example, this is a true story from my own experience working as an engineer, by the way. Our company is developing a new mechanical product. It's expected to expand the top selling product line. There's so much at stake here. And if one thing goes wrong, then our product may not reach its full potential and engage the biggest customers in our market. So, this new product is supposed to be the biggest revenue generator for a company. A lot is riding here. And the biggest thing is we needed to perform a customer validation by the end of the year. Otherwise, our entire product launch would get delayed by 3 months. 3 months. And so it's not acceptable for our company to launch a product that's more than 3 months late, right? Especially if it's a big revenue generator. The next phase is you build up the anticipation. You talk about what are some of the biggest issues that you ran into. So in my example, we were scrambling, trying to figure out how are we going to come up with a testing plan? How are we going to get our suppliers on the same page so that we could do our customer validation ahead of schedule so that our launch date wouldn't be delayed? You see, that was very hard for us to figure out. And me personally, I didn't know what to do. I felt like there were all these moving pieces and puzzles that I had to put together. Everything was just chaotic. And things were moving very fast for us. It was like one thing after the other. We didn't know what to do, and every vendor that we were talking to just seemed like they didn't want to work with us. Team members were leaving the team. Other people were not acting as accountable or responsible for the work that they were supposed to do. And truthfully, we were stuck. So now this leads us to the next phase of how you're answering the question. You resolve the problem. So in my example, luckily, after I called more than 20 vendors, our team was able to finally partner with one vendor who was able to partner with us and say, hey, Alvin and team, we'll be able to expedite all the orders by 3 weeks. That way you have all of your parts on time and you can do your prototype testing and show them to potential customers by your customer validation date, which is in a few weeks from now. How does that sound? Sounds good, right? So that was exactly what we did to not just have our customer validation being done on time, but also how we were able to launch our product to market on time within schedule. Do you see how I packaged it all together with these 3 phases? You have set the context, build up the anticipation, and then resolve the problem. If you learn how to answer interview questions using these 3 simple steps, you'll be able to engage the interviewer. You'll develop the acumen for how to tell stories that will make the hiring manager think, wow, tell me more. Tell me more. I want to hear more about your struggles and how you overcame them. What were some of the biggest accomplishments, right? So once you can do that, not only are you selling yourself with your resume, but you're pitching yourself in every single interview question. And that's the secret to landing your next job as a project manager. Now, if you want to learn how to actually land your next project manager job in the next 6 months, please watch this video next, and I'll see you in the next video.